All right, DC's next major movie is hitting theaters, but what do we think about it?
Get ready to get wet with this review. Let's talk about Aquaman. Now, Aquaman just is hitting theaters December 21st, so if you want to go see this, make sure you get your tickets now, but we were able to see it early.
Yes.
And we have our full review right now on Rotten Tomatoes, if I may.
If you may.
It's currently sitting at 69% from all critics.
69!
Yeah. Sorry.
We got a little lost in that.
Right, boys be boys. But this is directed by James Wan, and it's written by David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick and William Beal. But the story is from Jeff Johns, James Wan, and Will Beal. And, of course, the characters created by Mort Weisinger and Paul Norris. I made sure I got all this down because they are credited in the movie, and I want to make sure I give credit to all of those
100%,
individuals.
100%.
And the cast, of course, is Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry, a.k.a. Aquaman. You have Amber Heard as Mira, Patrick Wilson as Orm, a.k.a. Ocean Master, Willem Dafoe as
Volko,
thank you. Nicole Kidman as Queen Atlana, and the main man himself, Dolph Lundgren, as King Nereus of Zebul. Oh, I was a nerd that I nailed that.
Yeah, you did nail that. You did nail that.
But here's your quickie synopsis. Arthur Curry learns that he is the heir of the underwater kingdom of Atlantis and must step forward to lead his people and be a hero to the world. Now, we were able to see this last week, and actually, a lot of you guys could probably have seen it too if you were Amazon Prime members, so we were able to go to our theater, and I will say that there was a point when the audio cut out from our movie, and they did not want to restart it. They just kept going. It was only maybe 1 minute, but boy, let's give a shout out to the comedians in the audience that really put in their
you know what was funny is
commentary.
It sucked that the audio cut out. That sucked.
Yeah.
What made it?
We figured it out.
What made it 1,000 times worse were the people behind us that really thought they were cutting it up.
Yeah.
Because they tried to fill in the dialogue with their own bits that involved very many dick jokes, and of course, yes, there were children in the audience.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Also, big shout out to the movie cop that was sitting there. He was like, "Hey, person front row, I see you using your phone. If you do it again, I'm gonna freaking bash your skull in."
Yeah, which was crazy because I thought it was one of those, when we do the screenings, it's one of those like, hey, we can't have you spoil the movie. It's like, no, this was just a dude in the audience that was real aggressive about it.
Well,
but you know what?
dude.
Now that we've gotten that stuff out of the way.
Also, need to brag a little bit before the movie started and you weren't in there.
Yeah.
They just played Spider-Verse for some reason,
Yeah.
so I got to watch just the middle of Spider-Verse for fun.
Yeah.
Anyways, humble brag, really cool.
So as far as this movie goes, for me, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was it's interesting because it doesn't feel like a superhero movie. You know what I mean? It doesn't follow a lot of that formula. It's more of, I've heard a lot of people reference this, it feels like an older adventure movie.
Yeah,
like
80s.
A lot of 80s. But for me, and I think we saw Bumblebee close to this, and I think that helped me compartmentalize this in my brain. And I told you before, it feels like less like an adaptation of a comic book and more like an adaptation of an 80s cartoon that I grew up watching. Just with its energy.
Aquaman TV show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if there was an Aquaman TV show that was a lot like He-Man, and you made that into a movie, that's what this is.
Yeah.
And because it is, when you talk about scale, it's crazy to me that Infinity War came out this year.
Oh my God.
And it did. But as far as scale goes, about the stuff you're seeing in the worlds you're exploring, all that stuff, this movie felt bigger to me, which is insane to think about.
I think I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah, because it's not like, hey, here's Atlantis. It's like, well, there's 5 kingdoms in Atlantis, and each has their own thing, and we're also going to see old Atlantis, and then Aquaman's going to go to all these places, and you're like, this is nuts.
Yeah, they fully build out a world.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, it's not like really getting to know like these 3 or 4 characters in Iron Man's world really well. It's like you get to know,
which has its merits.
Which it does. Yeah, I'm not knocking either of them. But in this, it's more like you're getting your 2 teams, and there's a very few people there that you're really getting to know. And but it's more about laying the groundwork for the entire like you mentioned earlier before the camera roll, but it's like a universe. It's a world, but it's his world.
They give Aquaman his own universe, and I think the biggest praise I can give this movie is that there was a moment, like, just if I'm just being candid, growing up, Aquaman didn't do anything for me. Like, it just he doesn't mean it. He's not like more obscure characters. Like, I love Doctor Strange. You know what I mean? And now he's big now, but at the time, you know what I mean? Aquaman got none of that. But there was a moment sitting there like, damn, Aquaman's badass.
Yeah.
And I never thought, even when you cast Jason Momoa, even all that stuff, I never really thought I'd have that feeling. And this movie gave me that feeling, which it's like, good job. Yeah, mission accomplished.
Yeah, no, I will say that James Wan, the director of this, he's done basically creator of Saw, Conjuring, Insidious, director of Furious 7.
Yes,
correct? Yeah, and he's very good at building out. He's good at world building, and in this movie, and stunts and action.
Yeah.
And so in this movie, if you were worried about the action, don't be.
Yeah, just don't be.
It's so unbelievably impressive because he not only is able to nail like one fighting style, like you get basically like 9 different versions of fights, like with tech, with weapons, hand to hand, underwater, on land, in air, like for like a second. But like you still like you get like you get it's so dynamic, and the world, like you said, it's like there are throughout the movie you get a lot of subtitles when we go to a new kingdom, and it's like it kind of feels like you're looking at in my head like a lost map of a world you never got to experience, and like you're exploring. It's like, oh, this is this king, the kingdom of this, the kingdom of this, and the more you explore, it just it feels larger than life, and you can see a lot of things pulled from other franchises, and that's not a bad thing. I just mean that you can see influences from like Indiana Jones. You can see National Treasure gets one specific. We're going to do our podcast episode to listen to. There is a scene that is like what happened in National Treasure.
That's
not knocking
funny.
it though.
That's funny.
And the way that they're able to build out Aquaman and make him like a hero. They make him a hero. And a lot of times in movies we see like the reluctant hero where it's like he doesn't want to be doing what he's doing. And I think this is the best example of how you do that right, where it's like, no, it's not about like being Spider-Man or something or being Batman. It's like, no, if he doesn't step up, there could be like global consequences to what he's doing, and that's awful. Like to someone who already doesn't want to do something. And so you can feel for him, even though he can be a dick. But like he can be a dick. And also, I want to praise Amber Heard because Mira, like I think. Personally, I think she's cooler than Aquaman.
She definitely has cooler powers.
Yeah, she has.
She has water powers. Yeah, she has water powers.
You have the power that you thought Aquaman has, but Mira has it. She's able to manipulate water, and like they really make her cool.
Jumping off of that, something I really liked with this movie is that I really like the dynamic between her and Arthur. I think Jason Momoa gets a few really good scenes in this, and they're all with Amber Heard. And a lot of times you'll have movies that be like, no, the love interest matters, and it's like, do they though? Yeah. And this one, there's a reason on the posters and stuff, like it's her and him. Yeah. They are a team. They really could not accomplish this without each other. It's not like watching Ant-Man and the Wasp and be like, no, Wasp would have been fine.
Yeah, Wasp would be here.
Yeah, Wasp could have 100% taken care of this.
Shockingly, Ant-Man will put more people in seats than the Wasp.
Yeah, so in this one, it's like, no, they are 100% a team, and especially since Mira's abilities are so cool, it's cool that the movie gave her that space to be essentially the co-lead.
Yeah, which I very much agree with that, and I enjoyed it. But I do have to say, I think world building scale, and I don't know if you've mentioned this yet, but like there's a silliness to like Aquaman.
Yes.
This movie fully embraces. With He-Man and stuff, but like it doesn't back down from every aspect of the character, even stuff I didn't even know, and it fully like goes in and explains it, and it's like gets you on board with it.
It's not afraid. This movie is not a movie that's afraid to be silly. There's not an idea that's like, no, that's too silly. It's like, no, we're doing it.
Yeah, it's all of it, and it makes it as epic as it possibly can. And I think it accomplishes that. But since we're in overall thoughts, we'll kind of break down like specific positives and negatives when it comes to this movie. I'd say that where this movie excels is everything that James Wan is really good at, from my point of view, is the action. Yeah, Nicole Kidman gets an amazing scene as Queen Atlanta, which I love, but also Arthur and Mira throughout, as well as Black Manta. The action, the world building, the way and the CGI, like the CGI is unbelievable in this movie. They kind of like Fantastic Beasts. That movie has so many problems, but
it looks good. It looks good.
And this movie looks good. This movie's better than that movie, by the way. Like 100%.
Just throwing that out there.
But where this movie falters, in my opinion, is the script. And it's not in every scene, but there's a lot of times where I'm waiting to care more about what's happening, or more about like these people meeting and these people like getting to know each other, and I'm not feeling it. Like I'm not. It's like there's the connection's not there, and and it's mainly in what they're saying to each other, and a bit of the pacing during those specific scenes. Not in the movie overall. I think the pacing in the movie overall is actually pretty good. It really chugs along. But when it comes to those scenes, suddenly the movie kind of feels like it stops. Yeah. And I'm like, what? just come on, gang, like do just one more take of this, like because I feel like maybe make the lines work a little bit better or just rewrite it. I don't know. It gets clunky at times when it comes to the script, and it makes me disconnect from it. Yeah. And I'd say there are times when like the silliness, I think I hate like 90% of the time, and there's other times when I'm like.
Yeah, maybe like, back a little bit. Like, for me, I a lot of the character connections, specifically Aquaman and Mira, and then Aquaman and Orm, worked for me. I will say, as far as the script goes, it's because this movie tries to do so much. It's very expositional. A good chunk of the conversations in the movie are explaining things that are happening, and I feel like there's a way to streamline it. As much as I like all the bits, and I want all the bits and the villains and all this stuff and all the different worlds, it does get bogged down in explaining where these things are, why we're going there, where, you know what I mean, and I feel like it makes the movie a little bit longer than it needs to. But for me overall, for each one of those like detraction I had, there was like 2 other cool things that made me forget about it.
And I'd also say when it comes to like negatives, I think the score in specific, like people's specific themes when it comes to the musical composition are good. And I think it really captures what that character is supposed to be. But I think overall the way the music is utilized throughout the movie could be a lot better. And I think it's because I think the score is so good that it should have been used better in the movie. And like you know, also another movie pulls from Tron. You get a lot of Tron vibes, even with the music. At one point, I'm like, did this happen? Did this happen in Tron? I think it did. I think this exact scene happened in Tron, the new one. So, and I wish the music was utilized better, because in other movies, because we talked about this earlier, there are times when the score is fine or non-existent, but because it's not really offensive and it's not on my mind, I can ignore it and be more forgiving towards it. But because the score would come in, I'd be like, that's really good. Why are they using it here? Like why are they choosing to use it now? It bums me out. But like we like to do 3 positives and a negative to like kind of like boil our review down to something that's easy to digest. If the movie's about to start, don't worry, we're almost there. But for positives, what would you say your positives
for me
are?
I would say I love the scale of it. I love how it moves to its own rhythm. It's definitely finds its own way to tell the story, and it's not trying to fit the traditional superhero movie formula. I like the dynamic between Aquaman and Mira and how their relationship is utilized in this movie.
I love the way that this world is explored. So like the world in general, because it's like every time you like it feels like you're turning the page to a new chapter, and you're like, wow, this is really cool. Like this, and like it's making the world as fantastic as any comic book could possibly be. And I really appreciate that. And the CGI, like, I think it's incredible. And the fighting, like, because the fighting is
talking about the CGI
incredible.
Every time you're introduced to new armor or a new creature, you're like, oh, that looks amazing.
Like you just try to think about it. There's like a scene where a bunch of our like antagonists kind of are in a ship headed towards another kingdom, and like they're in the cockpit basically, and they're floating in the cockpit as this ship is floating to where they need to go, and you're like, how'd they shoot this? Like, they're not on wire. There's no way they're on wires, because that would be hell for all these actors. And one of them is like Willem Dafoe in this scene. You're like, there's no way you got him to do this. But like their hair is moving around, and their bodies are like naturally moving. And there's a fight scene that'll just knock your socks off between Orm and Aquaman that is fully underwater, and you could see Orm, like Patrick Wilson, I've never thought is like a physical threat, but there's a point when they're fighting, like Jason Momoa, you see him and you're like, whoa. But Orm like does all these movements where it's like he knows what he's doing in this, and this character knows how to fight in this scenario. Also, it goes into one of my favorite Mira water-based things that she does. Also, and it's absolutely incredible.
And just little touches, like in that scene, Mira's wearing a dress made up of jellyfish.
And there's an octopus playing the drums.
There is an octopus playing the drums. That's one of those.
If we're talking about weird stuff, if you aren't on board with that, then don't see the movie.
Honestly, exactly. There's been a lot of movies that come out like, oh, it's weird. No, this movie's weird. This movie really goes for it.
And I love that they gave him the room. I still think there's some. I think my main negative is the script. If like the music could bug me, and sometimes the exposition can bug me, that like there's so much that you have to learn, which I get. But there are different ways to go about it. But also, I think in my head, James Wan was like, we just need to make this look good. It can't look bad because there's so much of it that is just underwater the whole time. It has to look good. And so I get it. I understand.
And it's for me, I would say it's just a little bit too expositional. Specifically, there was a scene early on that I was like, uh-oh. And it's with two characters, and one of them was like, hey, I know we're in the middle of being pirates, but we're going to talk about your backstory a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like,
My favorite was like, hey, innocent people are dying. Come here.
Yeah.
Long kiss. And I was like, that person just said innocent people are being just exploded. Like, you need to do something.
That scene didn't bother me. If I'm being
I was
honest.
just like,
I get it, but it didn't bother me.
And like, so I was like,
so we like to have fun ratings for these movies, and so for this one, this takes place in the depth of the ocean, right? And then traditionally, the deepest part of the ocean, I believe, is the Mariana Trench, which is 10,994 meters deep. So out of 10,994, what would you give this movie?
Well, here's your letter grade.
Yeah.
I'd give it a C+, and
Okay.
I think it's a high C+, because there's a lot that this movie does well. But there are times I'm just distracted.
Yeah.
And I think I get disengaged with the movie when it gets to those points, and that's what bums me out, that I got so disengaged. And so that bums me out. So obviously I have to have a very concise.
So that's
score.
that's probably like around a 7,500.
Let's go with 7,500. That sounds good.
Yeah, 7,000 out of 10,900.
So I think 7,900 to, like, if these numbers mean anything.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, there we go. 7,900. Oh, what about you? What was your letter grade?
For me, I'd give it a solid B. So that's what, like 84?
8,000.
No, 8,400 meters?
The Marinara Trench.
The Marinara Trench.
Yeah.
Everybody's the Marinara Trench.
Yeah.
So those are our ratings. Oh, and then we also like to do, real quick, what would you put on
Quote
the
on
box?
the box.
Quote on the box.
Quote on the box. I would say, wait, I got it. I know how to, hold on. You have it?
Yeah.
Okay, go for yours.
I'd say, is Aquaman cool? Question mark? Like, or like, damn it, they made Aquaman cool. There's a moment when because he does go on a journey to become Aquaman, and when he's Aquaman, when he's full Aquaman, you're like,
wow, he's
Aquaman's
pretty
pretty cool.
Also, who's the actress who plays Mary Poppins?
Julie Andrews.
Yeah, you're gonna love her role in this movie.
When I heard about that at first, because I was trying to stay spoiler free, and I heard about it, I'm like, that's probably gonna be dumb. It's not.
No,
it's actually
awesome.
not. Yeah,
it's really cool. You better buckle in. Mine would be only losers would think this movie's lame. Put that on. Put it bold letters.
Yeah.
Make it italicized too, so you make sure you see it right when you look at the box. All right. Well, guys, let us know what you thought of Aquaman, or if you're excited, or if you're on the fence, or in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. Go to onlystupidanswers.com, but also go to patreon.com/onlystupidanswers for more. Click right here to go there.